in the thick video here. Because we have Maria in Chicago. Hey, Maria,
Hey, sweetie.
how are you? And listen, I just wanted to get you on video because we talked a little bit about Donald Trump's speech uh, this morning, and you shared us a pretty. You shared your reaction, and I wanted you to share it with our listeners and our viewers and our fans.
So nice in the thick this week, Julio, with
Hey,
your
thanks.
guest. That was kind of amazing. And I won't be able to go see the movie Get Out because I'm too afraid. So thanks for the information. So you're right. Last night, I was stuck in a plane for about 11 hours getting from Tucson to Chicago, where I am now. So I was reading a lot of the headlines of
Hmm.
the coverage of what Trump had said. And I was just coming from doing reporting right along the border and actually on the ground in Tucson. So I did have some reactions because what I was seeing in the headlines was very much kind of like, oh, the softening of Donald Trump. We're going to
Hmm.
find a way to solve this problem of illegal immigrants, what I refer to as undocumented immigrants, and I got very concerned because the reporting that I just saw on the ground, especially from the communities that are on the front lines that are seeing the children,
Right.
the teenagers coming from Central America, how they're being treated in the detention centers, what they're experiencing, what they are fleeing. The
Right.
fear on the ground in Tucson of Latinos and Latinas who are like, yeah, we're afraid. So I got very concerned, Julio, because I thought that it was a beautiful political move to basically your entire election.
Yeah, the
And
campaign, right?
I'm sorry.
The campaign, his entire campaign based on what he was saying, and then now he's doing the speeches.
Exactly, your entire
Yeah.
campaign, based kind of on an anti-Latino, anti-immigrant. Your first days out of in the office, you're blaming undocumented immigrants for stealing the popular vote. You're saying that there's going to be a militarization. You're fearing the community, but then suddenly you give a speech, and it's like, uh, no, JK, we're going to find a path. And it's just like
JK.
the thing is that on the ground, Julio,
Yeah,
the
you've been there the last couple. Yeah. So what are you seeing on the ground?
well, on the ground, they're talking about the fact that there are going to be 10,000 new Border Patrol agents in hired, speeding through the hiring, no longer having lowering the requirements for being hired as
Right.
a federal law enforcement officer who is armed with very little oversight on the ground, no body cameras, etc., and that they are not going to be subjected to polygraph tests. So this is what I was hearing on the ground, that this is like we're gearing up, right? We're getting the numbers up, and on the
Right.
streets here in Chicago, from my students and such, the absolute fear. Spottings of ICE agents. People being taken. The sense that as it has been said that ICE agents have been unshackled. So my concern is that the press coverage now is like, oh, actually listen to his tone, it's changed, so that's not going to happen. It's like, actually, let's watch what is actually happening on the ground. Number of agents, number of interactions, number of people crossing,
Right.
what is happening,
The
documenting.
arrests, are they increasing? And but then my question is, because yesterday there were reports. I'm the immigration reform. We should give it to a lot of we should legalize a lot of these undocumented people. And he kind of said a little bit of that in the speech. So are you, as a
But the
reporter, like
problem
as a
is that
journalist, like how are you
the
feeling about that?
because the problem is that already there are policies in motion that are going to they are starting to build up detention centers. They are
Mm,
hiring more border patrol. They are hiring more ICE agents. So he can be saying now, let's find a legal solution. But from here until then, meanwhile, what has happened is, in fact, the tone of ICE agents, the let's grab as many as we can, that is real. And it's going to take a while to get to immigration reform legislatively. Meanwhile, what he has done actually,
this is
and
all
through
going on.
his rhetoric,
Hmm.
all of this is happening, and none of that has changed, and it's going to get worse. And people who are going to be complaining about this are going to be said, but he's talking about finding um,
Bipartisan
a
solutions. Yeah,
bipartisan
yeah, I know
solution.
what you mean.
Meanwhile, agents on the ground, encounters happening, Will now the activists basically say, "Oh, okay, he said there's a change, and we're going to find a legislative way. We don't have to worry about people coming
Right.
to
Let's not worry about
ICE
that.
coming to their ICE agents coming to their houses." That is my concern. That again, that it was a beautiful political move to suddenly completely change the tone, the entire narrative of the coverage. What a changed tone. Meanwhile, actions on the ground. What I'm hearing, what we're seeing, something very different. And as Latino journalists who are deep in those communities, we have a
Right.
responsibility to be talking about that, because otherwise, journalists who are not deep in these communities are making generalizations about what's happening when they're not actually reporting. And that, I guess, is the core. And that's why I'm so kind of about this, because we need to be out there. And those of us who are doing that work need to be speaking about this. And as I said on my posts, on my social media posts, this
Yeah,
is
in your
not a
Facebook
time,
post.
right?
Yeah.
This is not a time to be quiet about what you are experiencing, what you are witnessing. Record it, give us as much detail as possible so we as journalists can use it. But now more than ever, we need on the ground facts from people, not silence.
Right. So next in the thick, we're going to talk with Javier Palomares of the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, who's actually part of Trump's diversity team. And I have a feeling, Maria,
He's on the Trump Diversity
Council. I have a feeling, Maria, that you might be asking him some questions about this.
Look, Javier knows I'm going to ask him some tough questions, but I'm so glad that he said yes and that he's coming on, because this is what we do. We dialogue. That's what we do. We dialogue. Nice
All right,
to see you, Julio.
Yeah, of course. Nice to see you too. So
Bye,
we'll see. We'll do this
everybody.
next week. Bye. In the thick.org, to find us. All right.
See
Love you
later.
guys.
Bye.